what inspired you, to join the Treasury, and to pursue a career in the National Treasury?
Prof, it's an interesting question you're asking, because most people, simply because one had been fortunate and honored enough to rise within the ranks to ultimately become a Director General, people want to infer that when I joined, I had a sense of what would happen ultimately. I didn't. But one of the things that made several of us who ended up in the public service and joined it, say, in the 90s, at the dawn of democracy, was the desire to contribute towards the redevelopment of our country. We had been fortunate enough as a generation that we saw apartheid, we experienced it, we participated in bringing it down and replacing it with a democratic system of government. Now, we knew and we had been told that the people shall govern, right? We understood that it wouldn't only mean that we cast our votes, but it would also mean that people with skills and capabilities would have to contribute towards the rebuilding, the reconstruction of our country, which includes participating in the running of the administration in different departments and different capacities. It is the desire, therefore, to make that contribution, however small, that made us to join government, kept us going in government, even in the face of many challenges. It's just the desire to be part of a process of changing people's lives and changing them for the better. And here we are, in my case, 19 years on, getting ready to try something else. With a clean conscience, dare I say, I mean, I've got no reason to wish that I have an extra day after the 15th. There is nothing that I could have done that I will not have done. I do know that some people would always look and sort of wish that, that project, how I wish it had reached that stage. I don't have even that kind of a feeling. After 19 years being in government, I live, and I suspect that I will be very happy to watch government from outside. Available, of course, to give advice should someone need it. I hope that it will not be my successor, but I can also give it to my successor, because I don't want to rule from the grave.
Yeah. The Treasury is widely regarded as a bastion of excellence, one of those government departments that has succeeded to attract very talented public servants like you. And I see one of them is here, also Ishmael Bonomiat, Lisecha Khanyago, Freeman Nomvalo, all those committed and talented public servants. How would you describe the institutional culture and ethos of the Treasury, and how do you think that has contributed to the success of the department?
It's several things. I'll probably touch on 2 or 3. First, if you want to build a strong organization, very effective organization, organizational culture matters. I'm in a school of business here, I'm sure people can relate to what I'm saying. So, and one of the cultures that got nurtured very early on at the Treasury was that if you have an idea, never feel that it is a bad idea. Put it forward, motivate why you have the idea. So any idea, for as long as it's genuinely held, it's worth being considered. And of course, be prepared to hear other people's ideas, some of which may differ materially from yours in a number of ways. So we were able in the very formative years, in our very formative years in the civil service, to grow up in that kind of an environment. Second, and very closely related to that, professionals being professionals want an environment that is run professionally. There mustn't be any sense that leadership is disrespectful of professionals and their place in the functioning of an institution. Again, one of the beauties of the National Treasury is that if you remember the Constitution, it was the interim in 1994. Some of us joined when the Constitution had already been adopted. If you remember the PFMA, which came into place in 1999, and you always refer to the relevant law, and you make sure that you adhere to both the spirit and the letter of the law, you knew you were safe, your advice would be taken seriously. Now, when I say this, people shouldn't make a mistake that the only thing we throw at people when we engage with them is the law. But law is very important in the civil service. It is exceedingly important. So that's the other factor. Now, what's also important is to instill a culture that if you perform, if you do your best, that gets recognized not only in terms of being rewarded by getting a bonus, but also in terms of getting promoted. You don't have to know one or another person to advance within the institution. The people I, for instance, grew under at the Treasury didn't know me from a bar of soap before I joined the Treasury. Yes, we shared the same values, the same principles, but all I did for the time that I was there, with many of my colleagues, by the way, was to work hard. Very interesting that you acknowledged Mr. Momoniat here, because at one stage he was my boss. Later on he insisted that I should be his boss. And he was happy to work under me as my subordinate, and we are still happy today. He is sad that I'm leaving, but I told him that he might have a better boss than me afterwards.